We are Group 3, Torchlight Games. I'll just do some quick introductions of all of us. I'm Tyler. You guys could raise your hand when I call you out. We have Anthony. We have Ted. We have Gil. David. Edward. And Coco. So the title of our game is Wrath of Zeus. And to sum it up, if you wanted to put it in like one sentence, this is a 3v1 asymmetric maze escape game. And so what does that actually mean? So in every game, there are 3 players that are going to be inside of the maze, and then 1 player is going to be Zeus. And so the 3 players in the maze, they're trying to find their way out of the maze. Essentially, they have 2 objectives. First, they need to locate an orb. So it's going to be this blue orb that they find in the maze. And then on the opposite side of the maze, they're going to have to take that to the exit. And so the players will win once they get the orb to the exit. Zeus will win by running out the time. So there will be a timer, and then once the time reaches 0, if the players haven't escaped, Zeus will win. And he'll do his best to try to stop them by placing traps, spawning lightning bolts, and using everything in his arsenal. So just some quick shout-outs, kind of like give you some of the ideas of things you might see when we're starting to play. We have Coco over here on stage. She did all of the models, all of the textures, basically anything that looks very pretty in the game. You can thank her for it. We have Gil, who did our wonderful soundtrack. Really, it's incredible. You'll hear like over 5 different themes, all of them great. Different themes for Zeus, different themes for the players. They're all wonderful. We have Ted. You can thank him for why the UI looks very nice. When I did the first pass, it was all text and no fancy graphics, and he put in all the nice little pixel art. We have Anthony. You can thank him for the game running higher than 1 FPS. He really optimized the graphics engine. Without it, we would not have all the fancy lighting effects, all the torches. David, he's the one that set up all the animations. He loaded in all of Coco's models, really just set up the groundwork of all the graphics and everything we loaded in. Edward, you guys, for the second game, you're going to see Zeus's POV. He basically did everything in that, so when you guys see Zeus, if you think it feels cool, that was him. And last but not least, I worked on the procedural generation a ton, so when you actually go in the maze, if you see a room in the maze that just seems patently unfair, you can blame me. So that'll be fun to see. So right now we're in our lobby screen, so you can see that each player can select between player or Zeus. There only can be one Zeus, so if multiple people select him, it'll randomly pick it. But in this first game, we're going to have Anthony as Zeus. We're going to have Anthony as the player. We're going to have, he's going to be on the screen here, Edward as Zeus. He's wearing his crown. If you're in the auditorium, you can see. And we need 2 audience volunteers to fill the last 2 players. So I'll take you in the cowboy hat and you over there on the far left. Yeah. All right, and so once we get everybody up here, we're going to load into the game. We actually have I think, a pretty cool intro cutscene, which will kind of set the mood. All of the heroes are going to be walking up to the entrance of the maze, which will be a blinding white light. That is actually where they have to find on their way out. So they're going to walk into the entrance, they're going to get teleported to the center of the maze, and they're going to have to both find their way to the orb, and then all the way back to the exit and the entrance. Okay, and just right now, they're, Wait, if you guys want the headphones, you have to restart the time. So a big part of our game is also the directional audio. So while you're in the maze, it's going to play sound effects of the traps activating louder or quieter based on how far away you are from them, which really helps for all of the locating like what's actually shooting at you. So right now they're just going to be plugging in some headphones, making sure that all of our players on stage can actually hear the traps that are shooting at them and not the ones that are shooting at Anthony. Some other things to look out for when we're in the game. So when the players spawn in, they're going to be in the center of the maze. You're going to see various colors of torches throughout the maze. Those kind of are your guiding lights throughout the maze. So you're going to be in the spawn room, and the normal color is like an amber yellow color. And then as the players get closer to the orb room, the torches are slowly going to turn more blue. So they kind of like guide their way towards like the brighter blue lights. And then when they're trying to get to the exit, you're going to see the torches fade slowly into white. And that'll kind of guide them on their way out of the maze once they have the orb. And so we're just going to be restarting really quick here to make sure we don't have any audio issues. So something really nice about Gil's music is that when you're sitting in the lobby for a couple minutes trying to get everything ready, you at least have something to keep you occupied, keep you excited, builds up the anticipation. All right, so it seems like we're going to be good. So we're going to be loading into the intro cutscene right now. All right. And so immediately you're going to see 2 of the 3 player models. Those are all done and animated by Coco, our artist. You won't see the 3rd one until we get into the Zeus view. You'll see him from above. Is the audio? Shouldn't the audio be louder? Could we turn up the audio for the auditorium? All right, so right now, all of our players are in the center of the maze. One thing to note is that they have a compass in the bottom right. So a really good strategy for the players is to kind of try to branch off in different directions. Remember what cardinal direction they went out in, and then try to find the different various areas of the maze. So right there, Anthony just walked by a arrow trap, the little bird guy, and shot out a little arrow. And now you can see that the torchlight is fading towards blue. So they know they're going somewhat in the right way, although it looks like they found a dead end because the blue light means that they're going closer to the orb. So they're going to have to backtrack a bit and figure out where that actually is leading them. And so you can see straight ahead, that's one of our enemies in the maze. That's the slime. You might recognize him from another block-based game. We took a little bit of inspiration from that. And so in the background, you can hear the lightning strikes. That is going to be every time Zeus spawns a lightning bolt, pretty much anywhere in the maze, you're going to be able to hear the lightning bolt, and it's going to really kind of scare you. You can see he's trying to get them. And so something that you might not notice right now, but it kind of really makes a big, small difference there. On all the walls, there are actually something called normal maps, which are making the lighting reflect off them in different ways. So if you look really closely at the walls, you're going to kind of notice some different lighting effects. In the corner there, Anthony has found the teleport trap. So he's kind of lost right now. It's supposed to be like a little obelisk. And he has luckily teleported right into the room that has the orb. So he can try to run around there, try to find the orb. It's going to be somewhere in this blue room. And you can see Zeus is hot on his tail. And that's the orb right there. Well, he died inside of the orb. And with that, that was 3 player deaths. So one thing I didn't mention was there's 2 ways to start the timer. The players can pick up the orb, and that starts the timer, or Zeus can get 3 kills. And so now that Zeus has gotten 3 kills before they found the orb, the timer is prematurely started. But one thing that the players do get is a little directional indicator on there, so they're going to be able to find their way back to the orb. And then from that, they'll be able to go to the opposite side of the maze and try to find the exit. And you can see the lighting is getting blue, so they know they're going in the right direction, trying to retrace their steps. So right there is the sun god, turn down the game audio. Sorry, could we turn down the game audio? It's a little too loud. Sorry. Another action that you might have noticed so far is sometimes the lights are turning black. That is another Zeus action that he can do. He can place down the various traps. He can also spawn the lightning. He can also cut the lights. So cutting the lights can be really effective if the players are trying to use the color to trace where the orb room is. So if the Zeus cuts out the lights near the orb, you're not going to see the blue, and you're going to not really know what direction to go in. But now they have the orb, and so they're trying to trace their steps back to the spawn room, and then once they get back to the spawn room, they're going to try to find their way out through the exit. You can see there's a narrow miss there from the lightning. And so at the bottom, you can see in Anthony's hotbar, he currently has a mystery potion. So he's going to be save that for an opportune time where it looks like all hope is lost. And that mystery potion, it's look, he drank it actually right now. It gave him nausea, so his controls are currently inverted. That's why he's stumbling around a bit. If he was lucky, it would have been an invincibility potion, and he would have gotten a full heal, and wouldn't have taken any damage. Right there, you got a good look at the lightning model that Coco made. We got that in yesterday, so that was really good. Oh, in the corner there, that's another UCSD icon, the Warren Bear. He's really friendly in our game, and he also happens to be stuck in the wall, so he will not be giving us any hugs right now. And you can see there's the Sun God, another UCSD icon, shooting out fireballs, so you don't want to get too close to him. Another thing you might notice is that Zeus is placing teleport traps, trying strategically in front of the players, trying to get them to walk into them so that they get teleported elsewhere in the maze, which probably means they're getting a little closer to where they want to go. And so right now, Anthony's trying to navigate his way back to the orb. You can see he's currently 200 meters away. It's currently been dropped, so they're going to have to pick it up and then try to bring it back to the exit. And so you can see here the lights are tinting towards white. So Anthony is actually near the exit right now. So if they were able to find the exit and then another person's able to find the orb, they can try to find each other and then bring the orb to the exit. So right there, those are the ceiling spike traps. You really don't want to get hit by those. I believe they're currently coded to do 9,000 damage. The floor spikes do not do 9,000, but Anthony was low. Yeah, so it's not currently looking too good for the players. They only have 1 minute left and currently 400 meters from the orb. And throughout our playtest, it's actually been fairly even. It's kind of been 50-50. So it looks like they're having a little bit of bad luck right now. That's our friend the Warren Bear, still stuck in the wall, unfortunately. So you can see he's going for a teleport. It looks like his distance didn't change very much, so didn't take him very far away. Another mechanic you might notice is every now and then he's running into an item on the ground. To try to balance it a little bit, when Zeus placed down a lot of traps, it tries to spawn items near players to try to give them a little bit of boost so that they don't get totally screwed without any items. So they were incredibly close, but unfortunately, we're not able to make it. But we did get to hear the Zeus victory theme, so that's good. Yeah. So we're going to switch the perspective now. You're going to see what it looks like to be Zeus. Something we kind of found early on was that the Zeus player gets intoxicated with power. And so people were maniacally laughing and whenever they got a lightning kill, whenever they teleported a person. So if you hear laughing coming from the front of the stage, that might be what that's from. But if you guys actually could go to the file explorer right now, just something we want to show. Oh, the audience players? Yeah, also, if we could get 2 more audience players. Yeah. Can we get you in the back there? And you in the far left. Yeah. So right now what we're pulling up here is an ASCII representation of the maze the players just went in. So if you zoom out, that was the maze that they were trying to escape and got remarkably close. So you can see in the center there, the little at symbols were the spawn points. On all the way at the bottom is either going to be the orb or the exit. I don't remember the orientation. And so it looks very complicated, but they did get very close. So we're just getting all of our players loaded in right now. You can see we're very creative. We have named our lobby something very funny. Okay. Looks like we're good to start. Now you can see the same cutscene from Zeus's perspective. You can let the atmosphere build. And you'll notice now we're hearing the Zeus music. So before the players had a very heroic theme, Zeus is a lot more evil, almost like he's laughing at the players. Okay, so you can see right off the bat, the players are starting to explore the maze. At the bottom of the hotbar, it shows all the different traps that Zeus can place. So right now, he's hovered over and you can cut out the lights and try to confuse the players. Try to stop them from figuring out where they're going. You can see now he's spawning in lightning bolts. And so, it looks like he got a kill. First kill already. And so now he's hovering over trying to see if any players are getting too close to the orb and see if he has anything to say about that. Looks like it's still a little, they haven't really found their way yet. Although, some players are seeing the blue light. See now he's placing some sun gods in their path, some ceiling spike traps, some floor spike traps, everything in his arsenal. And he got I think they might have walked into a teleport accidentally there. And so one thing to note about Zeus's abilities is at the bottom you can see the mana bar, which is blue. The lightning currently uses 6 mana, so that means if you fully charged up, you could lay out a burst of 5. The light cut uses 3 mana, so you can use that relatively frequently. And then the various other traps that just count towards like a total counter, and you have cooldowns on all of them. So you can see right now he's looking for the players. He's found one unfortunate player. He's trying to place a little teleport obelisk in his way. Yeah, so a little nasty maneuver there. Placed the sun god behind him so he can't see it. Yeah, so the players are really just getting bullied by Zeus, is what. And he has unfortunately died. So now the players are at 2 of 3 deaths. And somebody has just found the orb. So you can see there, player 2 has found the orb. Zeus was too caught up catching the other players, so now he has to go find who has the orb. You can see the orb player has teleported, and they're on the complete opposite side of the map. And they are remarkably close. So one thing we had to do while designing this was really make sure that Zeus couldn't camp the areas too much. That was a big concern in our initial design. But it ended up not needing too much tuning, just mainly just how much the output of Zeus's traps, how many things he can place. And an important thing to keep an eye on is the meters to the orb. So Zeus is going to try to use that to figure out which player actually has the orb. The player with the orb is supposed to glow blue. Unfortunately, it doesn't work half of the time. So he'll have to rely on the directional indicator. So if anybody has any questions during this last phase of the game, you could answer some now. Yeah, so the question was, how do we make the model of the map? And so essentially, it all starts from, we basically have a model for every object in the maze on like a grid cell system. So the code generates a random maze, and then it has like an array of grid cells, which is what you saw on the ASCII file. You can see there, one of the players has found the orb, they've retrieved it, now they're trying to escape. Yeah. And so you can see the player there is glowing blue, so they know you know that they have the orb. And a really good thing for when this happens is players can kind of group up. So if one of them dies, the other player can just pick up the orb and carry on the relay race. And you just want to make sure that you both don't stand on the same tile, because then you might get lightning struck and both players die. But I'm going back to the question. So the procedural generation generates like a grid of tiles. Then each thing is just like an OBJ file with the associated textures, and it spawns it in at that coordinate represented by the grid point. So each thing is like an individual, like basically cube model that has been textured. So you can see the players are at 2.5 minutes. They're roughly halfway through that 5-minute timer of the orb phase. And it looks like they are getting slowly closer to the exit. Yeah, another question. Yeah. Yeah, so all the player models were done by us. All the textures were done by us on the walls and the floors. The Sun God model and the Warren Bear model are publicly online, which we used. The Snake model also. But the Orb model, the Torch animation, the Torch stand, the Lightning model, that was all done by us. The Treasure Chest model for the items, the floor spikes, the ceiling spikes. I'd say almost all mostly us with a couple of things thrown in there. In addition, all the music made by Gil, and then the sound effects we did find from free sources online. Yeah. How long did what? Coco worked on the player models for a good portion of the quarter. It took a lot of time to really get them well and animated, but I think definitely worth it. I don't know the exact number, but it was more than a couple weeks. A lot of effort went into it. And so I don't know if Zeus could give an aerial view right now to kind of show how close they are to the exit. Maybe that would help the audience. And unfortunately, they are in the wrong direction, but they're trying their best. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah. With regards to the procedural generation of the map, like how do you determine torch placement?
Yeah, so the torch placements are just like another tile we place in the map. So the procedural generation, each individual like room, there's 10 by 10 rooms and 20 by 20 rooms. Those are hand designed. So we went into like an ASCII file and put like the hashtag symbol means a wall. This means a torch facing this direction, all of the various things. Then the procedural generation kind of stitches those together into one large map. So everything comes from the same building blocks, but it's a unique formulation every time. And if we wanted to make more rooms, we could just kind of add them to the directory of rooms, and it would just, the algorithm would pull from them.
What would you say your primary inspiration was as a group for like the concept of the game, the art, just sort of general early stages?
Yeah, so for the art, a big inspiration, I know Coco told us about it, a big inspiration was Hades. We kind of went with like the Greek theming a little early on. And a round of applause for Zeus. Another victory.
Keep cycling. Just start it up again. We'll close it.
New people from the audience? Or?
No. Just
we're gonna do another game, and then
just start it up, and we'll close it when we're done with Q&A. So we'll close it midstream.
Okay. Sorry, what was the? So the art inspiration, Hades was a big one. Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. I don't know if we got a close up on the orb, but there's kind of like a Sheikah aesthetic coming from that. For the gameplay, the game is kind of similar to other asymmetric games. Like, I don't know if anyone here has played Dead by Daylight. Funnily enough, that was not an inspiration when we made the game. We kind of realized afterwards it was pretty similar. Really what the game came from, it kind of came from an amalgamation of various different ideas that the group came up with. So one person came up with the maze idea. They kind of just had the maze idea on their own. Another person came up with like an airship idea where like one player is controlling a dragon. And the idea of the player controlling the dragon, that asymmetric thing, we kind of moved into the maze idea with the Zeus above the sky. And so we kind of settled in on like various different aspects of all the different ideas we came up with and like took the best parts of all of them. Another inspiration for Zeus was like RTS games. We had a couple of us who really like enjoyed RTS games, and like the feeling of like looking over like an environment and placing traps and stuff sounded something very fun. Yeah, another question.
How does your teleporter trap work?
Yes, our teleporter trap, it has a very sophisticated algorithm. It generates a random coordinate in the maze. If it is in a wall, it tries again. If it is in a wall again, it will try again. It will try 10 times before it just gives up. Although that's never happened, just to make sure that there's no infinite loop. And another thing it checks for is that it doesn't teleport you too close to the exit. Funnily enough, we've had multiple playtests up until this point where it teleported the player perfectly facing the final exit in the blinding white light. So that wasn't too fun for Zeus, so we kind of put in the check to make sure you don't go too close. So right now we have Gil, who are our composer, also a programmer, everything else, on the player POV here. And we have, who's Zeus? And we have David on Zeus on the far right monitor. Or, who's? Oh, we have one of our audience members playing Zeus. So this will be exciting. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so the AI for the slimes, essentially, if there's no player nearby, they just kind of pick a random direction and hop in it. And then if there's a player in like a certain radius, then it just does the hop towards the closest player.
A question.
Yeah.
What was it like making sure that it was kind of equally fair as both players and as Zeus?
Yeah, so that was a big concern early on when we were kind of coming up with the idea. We were brainstorming various traps, and we're like, will this be too strong for Zeus? Will this be too strong for the players? Because you want to balance Zeus feeling strong and Zeus having fun without making him too strong so that the players don't have any fun. And so we kind of put in things that sounded fun and then just did a lot of playtesting and saw what worked. And so strangely enough, a lot of our initial ideas, like things that just kind of sounded fun, ended up kind of being mostly balanced. A lot of it was just smaller tunings with like, a big thing is like how fast can Zeus like place traps, and how powerful the traps themselves are. In an early iteration of the game, Zeus was a lot weaker because our procedurally generated mazes were a lot harder. And then we kind of made the mazes a little easier to navigate, and then we realized we had to make Zeus a little more powerful. So we gave him more lightning bolts, and then, yeah, a little more like flexibility on what he can do. And then probably the biggest thing for balance was adding the torch gradients. That really lets the players kind of like know where they're going. Before, it was kind of hard for them to get lost. They get lost in the maze, get really a little frustrated. But with the torch gradients, generally, one of your 3 players, you go out in different directions. One of you will find a torch color. You can kind of call out, I found the orb, I went this direction, and something like that. So it was very much just play tests and see what felt good.
Can Zeus trap a player by placing 2 traps next to each other, like 2 sun gods?
So I don't know if we've demonstrated this yet, but the player the player can actually run through the sun gods and the arrow traps for that exact reason. We were having problems where players were just getting stuck, and so we figured it was just easier just to avoid the problem. It's a little unnatural when you walk through the little statues, but it's preferable to the game the player getting stuck and just not being able to play.
All right, thank you.
So most of the traps Zeus place cannot like impede the like exploration of the maze for that reason, just because we didn't want to open that can of worms. Okay. So yeah. So that's gonna be all of our time. So we're gonna have to stop right now. Players looks like they're doing pretty well, but it's probably gonna be a decent amount of more time before they're able to get out. So yeah. Thank you all for watching.